next time.
All right.
Yeah, thanks.
You could write a whole song about that, too. Join us right now on the Bishop Air Service Live line, Danny Tarkanian. Danny, how you doing?
Hi, how's it going, Alan? Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So we were just visiting with Aaron Phillips, Power to Parent, about the fact that Roberson is very firm for parental notification, except when it comes to making it part of the law.
Yeah, I mean, look, Mike has a real problem running for any office on a Republican primary because his whole voting record is replete with votes that are against what the party stands for, more like a Democrat would vote. And he's told people this, and this is something that they bragged about, that he can't be beat because he's an incumbent and he'll have all the money and he could win a Republican primary. And then when he gets to the general election, because he votes so much like a Democrat, the Democrats and independents will support him and he can't get beat.
Cocky little guy, isn't he?
Well, I have my opinion of him, and that would be pretty close to what I think. Look, this is very, very important. I said this in the debate. The future of the Republican Party, I believe, is going to be determined in this race here, and I'm not trying to overemphasize it. Roberson was a leader in the legislature of a pack of legislators that promised one thing when they ran for office. Once they got into office, they voted the way their special interests and lobbyist friends wanted them to vote,
Correct.
the ones that are giving them all the money. If we reward the guy who's a leader of that with a promotion, what is that going to tell all of his little minions below him what they should do? They're going to say, hey, we got to do what continue Mike's path to success. We need to continue to cater to the special interest groups and the lobbyists, lie to our constituents, and then we'll get a promotion also. Or if a conservative beats Mike and he loses in an embarrassing loss because this position, this congressional race, was anointed to him by the liberal media. They all said, this is his race, he can't be beat. In fact, they were saying he's going to be awash with money and he'll wipe everybody out. Well, if he gets beat, it's going to show that, hey, you can't lie to your constituents and vote like a Democrat and still think you can win a Republican primary. And that's what we're working on and plan on doing in this election on our end.
Well, and you know, this guy also, he is, he epitomizes of the underlying concept of the war on women. You were there last week at the Republican Women's Gathering, Southern, and what did he say? He said he told these women not to go on my show, right? He told them?
Yes.
All right, so who does that? Svengali does that. I mean, you know, someone who's trying to control women like that. I mean, he is the guy who thinks that he's in charge of the women. You know, I mean, it's, and he said it in front of all these women last week.
Women, yeah. He said in front of a women's group, which, you know, Mike's got a problem with his temper and he's got a problem with showing his arrogance, and it came out in that exchange with you. I thought even more telling, though, was, you know, one of the most important institutions in our country is the First Amendment and the media and how they report on things. How does he tell everybody that I'm not going to go on a certain media person's show, and I'm going to make sure two of my subordinates don't go on the show because I don't like what this guy says about me.
But you know, okay, here's the truth, though. Here's the truth. And had he said this, it would have been a different situation. He should have said the truth was that he did not want. And by the way, Becky Harris told me this once as well. So I mean, this is absolute fact. That he didn't want these people coming out. It wasn't just my show. And it wasn't just the other radio shows or any of the television shows with the interviews. He didn't want them on anywhere. And the reason was because he said, and again, Becky Harris told me this, that if there was a misstep, that they said something wrong, that the opposition, the Democrat candidate, would use it and take it out of context and use it to their advantage. So better to say nothing and not say the wrong thing and then say some things and get some good things out and maybe say something that you shouldn't have said. So that's exactly what she told me.
Yeah, but she's trying to cover up really what the true issue is, and that is if they talk about how they truly believe and what they're going to do when they legislate, they can't get elected in a Republican primary because they don't believe in the conservative principles. And so what happens is Roberson didn't just not go on your show. He hasn't gone on Heidi's show. He hasn't gone on Kevin Wall's show. He won't go on any of it. In fact, he won't go on Ralston's show and debate me because he knows I'll expose his voting record. Look, if this is what the guy did in the legislative session, you tell me how he could even run in a primary. He promised not to raise taxes, that he votes for the largest tax increase in state's history.
Correct.
29 times out of 29 times he votes for a tax increase. Then you know what he has the audacity to do? To send out a mail piece and say that he stopped the tax increase and that he's reduced taxes to 95% of small businesses, which was called out as a lie.
I got a mail piece right here. Listen to this. Listen, I mean, this is one that was delivered to our home over the weekend, and on the points in the front it says "stopped tax increase." When he pushed through the largest tax increase in the history of Nevada. Yeah, I'm looking at it right there. Stopped tax increase.
Okay, and then read the part where he says about amnesty.
Boy, let me find that one. Put my little glasses on here.
He said he was against amnesty for illegal immigrants, although in 2013 he co-authored the bill to encourage Congress to pass amnesty for illegal immigrants, and then he voted, and it got passed, and then they voted again in 2015, which he voted for it again to encourage Congress to grant amnesty, and it got passed. And he has the audacity to send out mail pieces saying that he was against amnesty. Same thing with the Planned Parenthood issue. He claims he was for Planned Parenthood, but he actually stopped it. Now he's running for re-election, and in a Republican primary, so he says it's for it. Look, you call him lying, Mike. To me, he's a Pinocchio of politics. Every time he says something, he lies about it and his nose grows. And I think, we as people running against him, that's myself and all the other candidates, we need to do our part to make sure we expose his voting record to the primary Republican voters. And if they do, I don't think he can get 10% of the vote in this race. I
absolutely hope you're right. We do everything we can to make sure he does not get it. And by the way, just one quick last point, and that is that, and I said this to Aaron Phillips at Power to Parent, by the way, that this parental notification is like mush. It's marshmallow. I mean, what they should have done was have consent, parental consent. If he wanted this parental notification, just notification, 12 years old, you want an abortion, just have to notify the parent. If he wanted this through, he could have had every single Republican voting for this, but then it would have landed on the desk of the governor, and the governor did not want to be faced with having to veto that or to sign it because he's thinking about his own political future.
Let me explain to the listeners real quick. We had, for the first time in 89 years, a Republican-controlled Assembly, Senate, and governor's office. That means they could have passed any bill they wanted with a simple majority except for a tax increase. You know what they did? They passed a tax increase, and they had to bribe the Democrats to do the tax increase, and part of their bribing was to stop certain bills. They were going to eliminate prevailing wage for school construction. The last day of the legislative session, when the Democrats claimed they weren't going to sign the tax bill, Roberson puts it back in so that we have to pay the cost of the prevailing wage. We haven't even talked about the photo ID, which is a bill that virtually every Republican-controlled legislature and governor's office has passed that bill in the past 8 years.
Every one of these Republican legislators wanted that, and it was supported by our Secretary of State. And what happened was he put the kibosh on that.
Exactly.
So,
it's like a federal notification. You know what they do? They don't even take it to a vote, because then you can't, in an election year, hold people responsible for how they voted. He tells people, we didn't have the votes. That's a bunch of crap. Every Republican would have voted for it.
All right, listen, Danny Tarkanian, I want to thank you for joining us. Danny's one of several running for the nomination for CD3, Republican nomination for the 3rd Congressional District. And, right now, I mean, everybody is saying it's coming down between Tarkanian and Lion Mike. So, I mean, if that's the case, you decide for yourself. Listen, Danny, thanks for being with us. I appreciate it. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Alan. Talk to you later.
All right, take good care. Danny Tarkanian joining us right here on KXNT.